In December 2016, a young woman from New Jersey, Sarah Stern, went missing after her car was found abandoned on a bridge. Initially, it was believed that she had taken her own life by jumping off the bridge. But what actually happened to Sarah Stern was far more tragic and shocked the community of Neptune, New Jersey. Liam McAtasney was the first person questioned about Sarah's disappearance. The police spoke with him at least 2 more times before he became a primary suspect. He had known Sarah since childhood and told the police that Stern had expressed a desire to run away. They had been best friends since childhood, but in high school their interests diverged. Sarah played softball, was on the swim team, enjoyed photography and digital media, while Liam was quiet and spent most of his time with his best friend, Preston Taylor. After Liam introduced Sarah to Preston, Preston invited her to go with him to their high school prom in Neptune. After graduating in 2015, all 3 stayed in Neptune and continued to spend time together. According to Sarah's acquaintances, she always brought Preston and Liam along, and they were regarded as good guys. When 19-year-old Sarah went missing on December 3, 2016, Preston and Liam, who were also 19 at the time, joined one of the first search groups of family, friends, and neighbors who braved the freezing cold to search for her along the Jersey shore. But after 2 months of searching for Sarah, who had just completed her 2nd semester at Brookdale College, studying art and television production, Liam and Preston were charged with her murder. Liam McAtasney went to trial for Sarah Stern's murder after allegedly robbing her of $100,000, which she kept in a safe in her room. The trial took place a year after Preston Taylor pleaded guilty to being an accomplice in her death as part of a plea deal that required him to testify at his former roommate Liam's trial. Liam's trial followed a 2-year investigation into what exactly happened to Sarah Stern, which remains a mystery since her body was never found. "I've waited for this moment for many years," said Michael Stern, Sarah's father. "Nothing will bring Sarah home, but at least she will get justice." On the evening of December 2, 2016, authorities initially believed that Sarah Stern had left her house around 11:45 p.m. to visit a friend, borrowing her grandmother's silver 4-door car. 3 hours later, Neptune City Police responded to a call from an Uber driver reporting a suspicious vehicle at the side of the road at the top of the Route 35 bridge in Belmar, New Jersey. When the police arrived, they found an abandoned car with the keys inside. After discovering that the car was registered to Sarah's grandmother, the police department contacted Neptune City authorities to conduct a thorough check on the registered owner of the vehicle. When officers arrived at the house, they found the door unlocked. Further investigation determined that Sarah Stern was the missing driver, and her family was unaware of her whereabouts. Around 3:40 a.m., a Belmar water rescue team was dispatched to search for a body in the Shark River, assuming that Sarah might have jumped from the bridge. Despite extensive search efforts, her body was never found. According to prosecutors, Liam McAtasney strangled Sarah in her home on December 2nd, a day before the police discovered the car. During interrogations, the suspects revealed that they had been closely observing Sarah and communicating with her, studying her routine with the intent to murder and rob her for the $10,000 she kept in a safe in her room. Sarah had inherited this money after her mother's death 6 months before the tragedy. Her mother had succumbed to cancer and left Sarah a large sum of money. Prosecutors learned that Liam had called his friend Preston about 10 minutes before killing Sarah, telling him he was at her house and ready to go through with their plan. According to Liam's testimony in court, it took him over 30 minutes to complete the murder, as Sarah initially fought back and resisted, but eventually he watched her die. Ultimately, he strangled his friend. Throughout the ordeal, Liam kept the call connected to Preston, who heard him carrying out the act. Several hours after the murder, according to prosecutors, Liam came home and begged Preston to go to Sarah's house to help dispose of the body and find his cell phone, as he feared he had left it somewhere in her house. Preston recounted that he went to Sarah's house, searched for his friend's cell phone, and then dragged her lifeless body outside, hiding it under a bush while Liam cleaned up the mess in her room. 8 hours later, Liam and Preston allegedly lifted their childhood friend's body over a fence and placed her in the front seat of the car before Liam drove it to the Route 35 bridge, which, according to prosecutors, was about 2 kilometers from her home. However, since witnesses had seen a girl in the front seat, the two couldn't simply leave her there. Preston followed Liam in his own car and helped him throw her body from the bridge into the river, Preston stated, before leaving her car at the roadside to make it look like a suicide. On February 1, 2019, Liam McAtasney was charged with murder, conspiracy, obstruction of arrest, and desecration of human remains. Liam, who was 21 at the time of his indictment, since the investigation and searches lasted for 2 years, and Preston, now 22, remained behind bars in Monmouth County Jail. Before the two stood trial, Preston agreed to a plea deal, cooperating with the investigation in exchange for a reduced sentence. In the deal, Preston pleaded guilty to disposing of Sarah's body by throwing it off the bridge, robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, tampering with evidence, and 2 counts of hindering apprehension. He faced 20 years to life in prison. As he himself stated, he couldn't live with the thought of the murder and felt he needed to confess to what he had done. In his confession, Preston recounted how his best friend had allegedly devised the murderous plot after learning in August that Sarah had inherited money from her mother and kept it in a safe in her room. After killing Sarah, the two broke into the safe, took the money, and then buried the empty safe in Shark River Park, Preston told prosecutors. They put the stolen money in another safe, which was buried in Sandy Hook. The police found 2 buried safes related to Sarah Stern's case. One was in Sandy Hook and contained around $7,000, while the other in Shark River Park held Sarah's clothing. But prosecutors were puzzled about the remaining $3,000, as Preston testified that the two had stolen $10,000. The Neptune City Police told the media that the missing $3,000 was never recovered. A few hours after Preston Taylor's confession, the jury filed 7 charges against Liam McAtasney, increasing his charges and finding an aggravating factor that enhanced his sentence. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Charles Stone, the Stern family's attorney and a friend, stated that the case against Liam was airtight, especially with Preston Taylor's testimony and a video recording of his confession. "We have video evidence and witness testimonies," said Stone. "There is more than enough evidence to hold this man accountable and allow the family and community to find peace." However, the expected 6-week trial had one hurdle. The 19-year-old girl's body was still missing. Many truly thought that Liam's friends had simply set him up, accusing him of killing the girl. But there was a key detail in the case: messages, video, and audio recordings from Liam himself discussing Sarah's murder. As for Michael Stern, the trial finally clarified what actually happened to his daughter on that December night. The father said his life was over because, for 2 years, he had simply hoped she was alive. For 2 years, there was hope in his eyes that, after losing his wife, he hadn't lost his daughter too. But all of Liam's stories were simply a cover to protect himself after he strangled Sarah to death, stole the safe from her home, then threw her body off the bridge, left her car, and fled. And that concludes our coverage of this tragic story. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on cases like these. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching.